Oh, hi there. Okay, today I'm going to show you how to do the owl eye blanket with eyelets. And we're going to do staggered eyelets. So it's really easy. We don't use any purls at all. And all we need to do is know how to mark the loom to make it easy. The yarn I'm using is a Mary Maxim Marvelous yarn. The color is chocolate mint, and it's if you were going to use another yarn, something like Charisma would be about the same. The loom I'm using is a 3/4 inch gauge Cindy wood loom, and it is got 40 pegs. And out of those 40 pegs, we're only going to use, I think it's 17, but let's count to be sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yes, 17. And it's always going to be on odd pegs. You can make it bigger if you'd like, or smaller, but you're going to need odd pegs. And you're going to need to mark the pegs, and you're going to need to color code them is the easiest way, because on one round we'll be working with the red, and on another round we'll be working with the green. And so I've also got stitch markers in red and green, and I just move, when I'm doing a red row, I move the stitch marker close to the front, and then I'll move the green one close to the front when I'm going to do a green one next. So you count 4. There's your first peg, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's where you put the first red marker. And now every even peg is going to get a marker, but you're going to alternate them. So red on number 4, green is on number 6, red is on number 8, green is on number 10, and so forth as you go around. And the last color code is right here. It's the red peg. And then right beside it is my marker peg for the end. Now, we're going to be moving the yarn that's on the blank pegs over to the color-coded pegs when it's time to move them. So, when we move this one, we're going to have an eyelet 2 from the end. When we come over here and move the peg here onto this peg, we'll have an eyelet right here, 2 from the end. So that's why it's set up this way. And we're going to start with the red row when we do our first eyelet. But first we're going to cast on. And so we're just going to take the yarn, do a slip knot, put it on peg 1, and then we're going to take the working yarn, and we're going to take our hook, and we're going to go through the loop with the hook, and we're going to take the working yarn and just feed it through that to make a loop. So we have a loop here, and I'm just going to take the other end here and tighten it, and I'm just going to wind it over there. And then we're going to do a crochet cast on that leaves a nice chain on the bottom. It's my favorite one for doing scarves. If I want a flatter one, I have another one I do, but this one's really nice when you want a chain look on the bottom. We just take the loop and go around the peg, take the working yarn, pull it through the loop, and snug it up. Go behind the next one, put the working yarn through the loop, and snug it up. Go through the next one, take the working yarn through the loop, and just snug it up. And we just do that all the way to the last peg. And I always come in and check and make sure I've got a good tension, because I want the cast on row to be nice and tight so the loops look good, but I want them to be loose enough to go over. I don't want them to be so tight I can't knit that off. So I just check, and this would, and you can easily adjust them if you need to. So I'm just going to finish doing this cast on all the way to the end here. and then we just put this loop over the last peg, tighten it, and then I'm just going to come and knit it over. Now we're going to do 3 rows of owl eye. So to do the owl eye stitch, we're going to come back over this peg, and we're going to knit it over, and we're going to knit over this peg. And wherever we are, we're on peg 1, we're going to come behind, in front of peg 1, over peg 2, and knit them over. Here we are in peg 1, go behind 1, over 2, and knit it over. And this whole scarf is going to be done in owl eye, so it's the only stitch you're going to need to know, and then the technique of moving them over. Here we are in peg 1, over peg 1 and 2, knit them over, peg 1, peg 1 and 2, knit them over. Keep your work fairly loose so that it's always easy to knit over, and you want them loose enough to be able to move them over quite easily. Okay, so this is row 1 of the 3 rows of owl eye we're going to do before we start doing the eyelets. And here we are. And here's how we do the corner or the edge pegs on either side. We just knit them over, and we come back over and knit them again, and that will give us a really nice edge. Okay, and then we're just going to keep going, row 2 and row 3 back. So I'll meet you back here when we've done our 3 rows of owl eye. Okay, so I've got my 3 rows of owl eye done, so it should be looking like this. And we're going to start. And so what we're going to be doing is we're going to be, row 1 is going to be taking the working yarn and moving it onto the red pegs. So every left peg will have the yarn moved onto the red peg, onto the red peg. And then we'll be doing that, and that'll be 1 row as we do that, and then another row of owl eye and another row of owl eye. So we're always going to be doing 3 rows of owl eye whenever we do these pegs. And then we come back and we'll be working with the green pegs. So it's always the red pegs, 3 rows of owl eye, the green pegs, and 3 rows of owl eye. Okay, so you could just be knitting along and moving them over as you go, and you can do that if you'd like, but I'm going to move them over first for the simple reason that they're moved. I won't accidentally move the green or get confused while I'm knitting, because I just have to do my owl eye all the way across, and empty pegs are empty pegs. So I'm going to move all mine over first. So I'm going to take the yarn off the peg to the left, and I'm going to just slip it on over the peg with the red yarn, and then I have 2 loops on here. Go over to the next red peg, and I know I'm red because I have my stitch marker there. And move it on. 2 loops on the red peg. Take the next one, move it over, and the last one, and move it over. And these will just be knitted over as if they're one. Okay, now all we do is owl eye down the row, but we're picking up the red. It's already moved, so since I've already moved it, I'm going to change my marker, because the next time I move any yarn over, I'll be moving green. So I'm going to put the green one here instead. If I was going to leave this work, I'd probably do up my pins, but I'm not going to do them up to just sit here and knit. Okay, so here we are. Put the working yarn over peg 1 and 2. Knit it off. And then we're just going to do owl eye. So when you do owl eye, we're just going to go over this peg and pretend it isn't there. Just slip the yarn over it. And we're going to do our second wrap there. And we're going to take both of the yarn over on this peg and do owl eye over the next 2 pegs. And just continue to do owl eye. Whoop. Whoop. The other thing I was going to show you is if you find your yarn is a little hard to put over, you can always take one loop and put it over, and then the other loop and put it over. You don't have to take them over at the same time. It doesn't make any difference. And we knit this, just put the yarn right over that one as if it isn't there. That is a little tight. Oop. There we go. Just put over one at a time if you find them tight. And then we knit the last peg over. Go back like this. And then we're going to do 3 rows of owl eye. So we're going to go back to there, owl eye back to here, and then owl eye back to there. So after you do your 3 rows of owl eye, I will meet you up, and we will actually, maybe we'll go back. I'll go back with you, so I'll show you how you just knit over these. Okay, so we're at this peg, and we go over. So this is the peg we slipped. It just has the yarn over, but we just owl eye as if it's a normal owl eye. Now we go like this. The yarn goes over there, and we just owl eye. So we just treat it like it's a regular wrapped peg as we go back. So yeah, I'll go back with you on this row, because I want to show you what it should look like on the back, so that if you put your work down, you'll know where you were, because you never know. Things happen. You have to put your work down, and you're not even completed a row and at a place where you're going to remember where you are. Okay, and when I'm going to leave my work to do something, I usually do this wrap, and then I come over and do the first wrap of the owl eye, because that holds it more secure here, so my corner doesn't get too loose. Okay, so we're going to look at it, and here's our eyelets. Okay, we got these nice eyelets in here. See them? Okay, so the next eyelet's going to be at the green, so it will be staggered, so it will appear here. And we want it to have some space in between, so that's why we're going to do our 2 more rows of owl eye. So you're going to do owl eye to here, back to here, and I'll meet you up here, and we'll start working with the green. Okay, so here we are, and I've done the 3 rows of owl eye, and we'll just flip it over and take a look at our eyelets, and here they are. Against there you can see them more with the light blue there for my chair under them. So there they are. The next one's going to come right up here in the middle on the next row. So it's going to be a really nice staggered look of them, and they're going to look like they're coming down in a nice staggered way. So it's time to move them over. And my stitch markers fell off because I was moving this upside down, but I did have a green there. So see, it's a good idea to do them up, but I wasn't going to when I was just sitting here knitting, but of course I was flipping it all around. But anyway, if you need to, you can actually look at it and tell which one is next too. You can see, but because when you're knitting around, you're doing it on a spiral, the work kind of goes a little bit funny. But anyway, you can see that it's right on this peg here. And when you do the next one, you're going to have to do green. And you can see how it can sometimes get confusing because your green color is so close to the hole. But because this is the peg you moved over onto the red, so that's why I like to color code it. But you may not need to do that. Okay, so anyway, green is the next color, so we're just going to take the green pegs and move them over. And I only have 3 of them for the size I'm making. So to the left of the green, move it over. To the left of the green, move it over. And there you go. So now I move the red over because that will be the next one I do, and I've already moved over all the green, so that's done. And I'm just going to close them up this time. Okay, so we'll just knit up for a while and then we'll catch up because now you know what you're doing here. And you can already see that you're going to have an eyelet here because there's no peg. And so you just keep going. So again, you're doing the red next, and right now you're doing the green. So you'll be coming down and knitting it over and putting the one piece of yarn over here when you skip over this peg. And then from the point here, you'll be doing 3 rows of owl eye to come back. And that's, you'll always be able to tell that you haven't done your rows because you'll see, I'll look here closer so you can see it better, but you'll see that you've got the 2 eyelets here. There, put it on the light blue. You've got the 2 eyelets here, and then you can see the hole here because we've moved the yarn over where the next one is. So if you get confused and put it down and you're too close to these, you'll see you haven't got all your rows of owl eye in. So that should help. Okay, so we'll see you when we get further along and have a look at what this looks like. Okay, so I'm further along and I just put a paper towel under this so you'll be able to see the eyelets better. So yes, this is them. And as you can see, they are staggered. But they also look like they go in these diagonal lines, which is a cool feature of a staggered eyelet. Okay, so they're coming along and looking good. And then the end, or I mean the cast on, looks really good with this crochet cast on. And I'd like to look at the sides, and there's what the sides look like. I'll get it pretty close here so you can see it. Has kind of a nice braided look. It's nice and tight, which is why I like doing this edge with the owl eye stitch. Now we'll look at it here. When I get further along and I'm into some lighter colors, more of the minty color and the lighter browns, it'll be easier to see these. It is pretty dark, I know, but still gives you an idea that it's nice and tight. It's not loose loops. There, that shows it a little bit better. And probably when you next see me, you won't see this here because they start to drive me crazy, so I weave them in. So all I'll be doing is putting a needle through here and on the inside here, just weaving this along. So I'm going to do this, I might go and do a whole 60 inches, and then again I might go somewhere around 35 or 40 and just have it a scarf that goes over my neck and close it with the scarf pin. We'll see how I feel, and I'll try it on as I go along and where I finish it. And the cast off I'll be doing is the same one you see in a lot of my cowls. It goes really nice with this cast on, and they match up pretty good. So, okay, till we see you again. Okay, I've gotten quite a bit further along. I'm trying to find a good way here for you to see, but you can see now they're coming up in this nice diagonal look. And if you look at it this way, they just look like they're staggered. But yeah, so that's what it's going to look like. And as we come in the other colors, you can see it a lot better. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, there's a lot of people waiting for this video. So I'm going to end it pretty soon, and I'm just going to tack on an ending of the bind off I'm going to use, but you can already see not laying nice and flat. The other side you can see is laying nice and flat. There we go. And you can see what it's going to look like. There we go. And if I do a close-up, you can see that Owl Eye gives you this really nice texture in the bulky with the eyelets. Okay, so I will put the ending on with the bind off I'll use. Enjoy. Later on, when I do get back to finishing this, I'll probably add the finished picture on, but for now I'll just add a picture of it at about this length at the beginning. Okay, so we'll see you next time. So now we will be binding off. So what we do is we just measure 1, go down there, we come back 2 because we want to be long enough, and then they say, most people say do it about 3 times, so I'm going to do it close to 3 times. And I'm just going to put you on pause because I have to find a scissors and a needle. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to cut it right here. There we go, and I have my needle. I'm threading the needle. Okay, and I'm just going to give this a little tug here so it's not too loose, and then I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go down. So I'm going to go inside this loop on this peg and put the working yarn through it and snug it up, and then I'm going to go back up the first peg. Okay, snug it up a bit, and I'm going to go around the second peg and in front of it, and then I'm going to go down this peg and then up the second peg, snugging it up as I go, and then around the between the two pegs and around the front. So basically that's all we're going to be doing, is we're going to be going down the peg in front, back to the peg we had done before, and then going around. So down the peg and around and up the peg. And around, and then down the next peg, up the peg before. Let's get this close right now, and we're always pulling it tight, and then between the two pegs we just did, around, and then we'll be going down this next peg, making sure the working yarn doesn't get all hung up the peg before, and around, tightening it as I go, down, up, and around, down, and then up and around, and then down the last one. Whoop, and the needle came out. So we better redo the needle. Okay, and then up, and there we've gone through every peg. So we're just going to go back down the first one like that, and I'm going to come down it again like that. There, just to secure it more, and then you'll just be weaving in your end. So now you can take it off the loom. Okay.